Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're going to completely dissect a highly active, predatory cybercrime pipeline by following the digital breadcrumbs right from the victim's screen all the way to a high-stakes tactical raid. We are moving way past theoretical ideas here. Instead, we're analyzing a real, advanced e-commerce trap known as a task scam. We'll see exactly how these syndicates engineer elaborate psychological traps, how they wash their tracks, and crucially, how disciplined digital forensics can actually dismantle their entire operation. Okay, let's dive into this. $501 million. That staggering figure represents the annual losses to job and employment fraud. We're tracking a more than five-fold increase in financial bleeding in just a few short years, which really sets the incredibly high stakes of our story today. You see, this isn't just a matter of stolen credit cards. This is an industrial-scale deception that literally drains life savings from people who are simply trying to find legitimate remote work. To understand exactly how this works, we really need to meet our victim. Let's call him Adam. He's a 29-year-old freelance graphic designer who, like a lot of us, was just looking for a legitimate side hustle working from home. The initial contact happened on Telegram. A user named Chloe, who was posing as a hiring manager for an international retailer, sent him this completely innocent-sounding pitch. It promises flexible work, boosting product rankings for guaranteed daily commissions. No experience needed. Chloe then directed Adam to a slick, highly professional-looking website called globalmall-boost.com, complete with live dashboards and scrolling payout tickers. And just like that, the trap was set.
Now, notice how carefully they structure this escalation. Step 1 is the hook. Adam deposits $100, clicks a button to order a blender, and his balance jumps to $115. Crucially, they actually let him successfully withdraw that $115 back to his bank account to build absolute, unquestioning trust. But look at steps 2, 3, and 4. Adam gets assigned VIP products. He deposits $1,000, but a system pop-up blocks him, claiming he needs a $2,500 matching order to unlock his funds. He scrapes that money together, only to be blocked again, with the system demanding a $6,000 deposit to standardize the account. You see, the system always has an excuse ready to keep his money frozen. Over the course of just 5 days, Adam sank $35,000 into this fake platform. When he finally ran out of money and refused to invest in another product, Chloe ghosted him entirely. She blocked his Telegram account and his e-commerce login was completely deleted. It's an absolute emotional and financial gut punch.
Section 1. The P2P laundering loop, visualizing the misdirection.
Now, what's really interesting about this slide is understanding where Adam's money actually went. The scammers don't just open bank accounts in their own names to steal this cash. That would be way too easy for law enforcement to trace. Instead, they use a brilliant but incredibly devious peer-to-peer or P2P switcheroo. The scammer accesses a major crypto exchange and opens an order to buy USDT, which is a dollar-peg stablecoin, from an innocent, legitimate crypto seller. The scammer tells the seller, "Hey, I'll wire you the cash." But in the divert step, the scammer takes that innocent seller's bank account info and gives it directly to our victim, Adam, claiming it's the product deposit gateway. Adam sends his $35,000 to the innocent seller. The seller sees the cash arrive, assumes it's from the scammer, and releases the crypto. The exchange then routes that clean crypto straight to the scammer's anonymous wallet. So here is the core misdirection at play. From Adam's perspective, he was funding a secure e-commerce gateway to complete his product tasks. But the reality? He was unwittingly buying unhosted crypto for a criminal. The victim's money is sitting in the account of an innocent third-party trader, while the criminal walks away with clean cryptocurrency. It's a sleight of hand that leaves traditional bank tracing chasing ghosts.
Section 2. Forensics and blockchain tracing, following the digital breadcrumbs. But here's where we pivot, because we don't just stop at the crime. We fight back with empowering detective work. When Adam brought his smartphone to the authorities, it was processed under incredibly strict laboratory protocols. It was immediately connected via a hardware write blocker. This ensures absolute legally defensible integrity. Zero data alteration or timestamp modification occurs. Using an advanced tool called Celebrate UFED, the forensics team performed a physical extraction. They actually recovered deleted SQLI databases, cache files from the fake platform, and most importantly, they pulled the permanent Telegram user ID string for Chloe. You see, even if the scammer changes their username or deletes the chat, that ID is immutable.
Let's move to and see how this builds. By cross-referencing the bank accounts Adam sent money to, investigators found the initial exchange wallets where the scammer received the stolen USDT. Using advanced blockchain analytics software called Chainalysis Reactor, they visualized the entire flow. The funds moved from the initial wallet to a mixing wallet, and then into what's called a peeling chain, which systematically breaks large chunks of crypto into smaller amounts across dozens of wallets. But the software identified a consolidation cluster, funneling all those funds back into a single unhosted wallet. And right then, the criminals slipped up. They accessed this private wallet using a smartphone app without a VPN, completely exposing their local internet service provider footprint.
Section 3, the tactical cyber raid, breaching the operations center.
That single ISP slip-up led authorities straight to a luxury high-rise condominium. Now imagine the tension. When the tactical team breached the room, the digital forensics specialist faced a high-stakes binary decision based entirely on the state of the suspect's computer. If a device is powered off, you leave it off to prevent triggering security protocols. But if it is powered on, you absolutely do not turn it off. Shutting it down would trigger full disk encryption, effectively locking away the evidence forever. Well, the breaching team caught the suspect completely red-handed. He was literally sitting at his desk, actively logged into the administrative panel of the fake e-commerce site, modifying victim balances in real time. Because the laptop was live, the specialist inserted a validated USB triage tool and imaged the system's volatile RAM. This was a dramatic and absolutely crucial move. It captured the unencrypted login credentials to the back end, the active Telegram session tokens for Chloe, and the open private keys to the cryptocurrency wallets they had just mapped in Chainalysis. Simultaneously, the suspect's active smartphones were seized and immediately dropped into Faraday bags. This is a specialized enclosure that blocks all cellular and wireless communications. Why does this matter so much? Well, criminal syndicates often work in teams. If an external co-conspirator realizes a raid is happening, they could easily send a remote command to wipe the device. The Faraday bag completely isolates the hardware and protects that immutable evidence. Section 4. The task scam epidemic, the psychology and the scale. So, Adam's case was solved, the suspect was arrested, and the digital evidence was locked down. But we need to zoom out from this single solved case because Adam is really just one drop in a massive global ocean, and this brilliantly illustrates the point. Consider the data tracked by the FTC. In 2020, task scam reports were essentially zero. By 2023, they climbed to 5,000. And by just the first half of 2024, that number quadrupled to approximately 20,000 cases. It's a meteoric explosion catching thousands of people completely off guard. In fact, task scams now make up an astonishing 38.8% of all global employment fraud. This specific e-commerce trap has quickly dominated the employment fraud landscape, and research shows it relies heavily on the fluid infrastructure of platforms like Telegram, using tens of thousands of automated finance and crypto bots to manage these illicit operations on a massive scale. But you have to ask, how do scammers keep smart, educated people like Adam emptying their bank accounts? Well, they weaponize psychology. The first behavioral mechanism they exploit is the sunk cost fallacy. Once a victim invests, say $1,000, their logical brain kind of shuts down. They aren't thinking about the risk of losing another $2,500. They become hyper-focused on doing whatever it takes to recover their initial $1,000. Scammers manipulate this vulnerability perfectly by framing the next payment as the absolute only technical way to unlock the frozen money. The second psychological weapon they use is loss-framed urgency. Scammers actually code fake countdown timers right into the dashboard, or they threaten that the victim's credit score will plummet if they don't complete the task. This triggers acute anxiety. It forces the victim to make impulsive, panic financial transfers before their logical risk assessment can even take over. They essentially short-circuit the brain's defense mechanisms. So, to summarize the macro landscape here, while the syndicate in Adam's case was caught and dismantled thanks to rigorous forensics, the overall pipeline is an industrial-scale threat. Crypto losses tied to task fraud hit $40 million in just the first half of 2024 alone. We're talking about over 106,000 Telegram channels currently acting as hubs for this activity. And zooming all the way out, the FBI tracks total cybercrime losses at a catastrophic $16.6 billion annually, with phishing and social media inducements remaining the absolute top attack vectors globally. We've seen today how a seemingly harmless text message can spiral into a highly sophisticated, multi-layered financial trap. But, as you've seen, we also know how unbreakable forensic protocols and blockchain tracking can pierce right through the anonymity of these cyber syndicates. So I want to leave you with this to reflect on. If immutable blockchain math and disciplined forensics can dismantle complex P2P fraud, what vulnerabilities are you overlooking in your own digital life? Keep learning, stay vigilant out there, and thank you so much for joining me on this explainer.